Hey, it's Helen.
And it's Mado.
We just finished recording our segment of the Runiverse Direct.
We had so much that we packed into it. We were talking about the updates, we were talking about the and
I kind of feel like we're just gonna have to bleep out everything Mado just said, so I don't know how useful this is gonna be on socials.
it's okay, they'll figure it out when they watch it.
Yeah. See you there, everybody. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, they're coming.
Here we go. They're coming by.
This Runiverse Direct is fire!
Hey, everybody. I saw you all in chat. Hi, Irving. Hello, everybody saying woof. I think we have a couple wolves here with us today.
Hi, everyone.
What you just saw was a preview for the Runiverse Direct. Kind of a slow week right now because obviously everything we're working on is toward the Runiverse Direct. So we promise you're going to get all the intel soon on what we've been working on once that goes out. We do have one cool thing that went live yesterday. Mado, do you want to tell us all about it?
Yeah, actually, we ended up having the Pixels raffle event start. Or rather, it's the mini raffle event before the large raffle event. So there was like a couple of questions about it, but I'll go through it right now. So we have 100,000 pixel available for Matin right now. You can get this in-game. There's going to be 3 grand prizes. It's going to be 3 grand prizes of 50,000 pixel, 20,000 pixel, and 10,000 pixel. We've got 20 additional prizes for 1,000 pixel each. And it's limited to 1 player each. So we're doing a raffle system this time, instead of the auction system that we had before. We're kind of just experimenting with different kind of claim systems as we do these partnership tokens. This is one of the ideas that we had in mind. You can find it in game. Obviously, you go in, and then this gives me a nice little Runiverse logo on the left, and you'll be able to connect your wallet, set your offer, and because it's a raffle, you know. It's just every ticket you throw in there, that's a chance. And this is just a small, so we had some questions in the Discord because we had like our previous pixel event was, I believe it was, how much was it? It was a lot of pixel, wasn't it? 250,000 or way more than that? Yeah, way more than that. The exact number is getting confused in my mind, but this is just a small bit for the Pixels event. Like, this is just a kind of like a mini raffle before the big raffle. So don't worry, we have more Pixels to give away. This isn't the end. This is just for testing our raffle system, and so that way more people can participate and just kind of like see how it's going to be before it actually goes live with the larger amount.
That's right. Yeah, so you can go in right now and claim exactly as Mado just showed you. And that's our biggest news for this week. More to come with the Runiverse Direct. Now, okay, right now in game, Mado is playing as a wolf, and there is a good reason for that. This week, we are joined by 2 guests from Wolves DAO. Wolves DAO is a professional community of experts who are helping shape Web3 gaming. So we're thrilled to have them here today. They're building a whole suite of products that are helping to solve problems and make life easier for gamers, communities, and projects in this space in general. For example, just one of those is Woof, an AI-driven analytics engine that processes data from mints, from wallet activity, and Discord to provide real-time insights into where Web3 gaming is headed. So please give a warm welcome, or woof woof, I see you, Brendan, twitching, we love it, to Payton and Slayer from the Wolves DAO team. Hey guys!
What's up? Excited to be here.
Thanks so much for joining
Excited to
us.
be here, even though I got timed out by Nightbot for
Nightbot is going ham. Obviously did not want the Wolves energy for sure. We got slapped twice for all caps.
Nightbot can't handle this energy.
I'll speak in all caps though. You can't. Nightbot doesn't have it here. You know. I'll speak in all caps from now on.
Yeah, you're allowed. Okay, Nightbot, do you hear me? They're allowed. Do you want to start by telling us a bit about the two of you and what you do on the Wolves DAO team, your background in Web3 for each of you as individuals specifically?
Yeah, sure. Slayer, you want to go first?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Slayer. I'm COO of Wolves DAO, also co-founding the suite of Wolf products with Payton. I have been a gamer my whole life. Like my mom literally raised me as a baby playing original NES Super
Let's
Mario
go.
Brothers 1/Duck Hunt in front of me. So I grew up on Nintendo. I've been streaming on Twitch for like 4 to 5 years now. So that's like my actual handle in chat there. And I've been like a finance and numbers nerd in my Web2 life. So when Web3 gaming took off, I was like, hey, numbers nerd, like gamer, like this is a space that I need to be in. So I jumped in pretty quickly around the time when Axie was getting popular. I've had a few startups in the space. I've worked for studios. I've advised a lot of projects and been in a couple of different seats, and really excited as part of Wolves now to be working on products that we've experienced the pain points personally as community builders, as people in game studios are supporting them, and also just as gamers who want to enjoy the space more.
Awesome. Yeah, Slayer's freaking amazing. She's I should have probably went first. My name's Payton. My name's Payton. I'm the founder of Wolves DAO, as well as doing co-founding with Slayer when it comes to like Wolf and the products that we're going to be building. My background's actually like really weird. I came from the Navy, drove ships for a living for 4 to 6 years, and then I taught for my last 2 years there. And so that was a lot of fun. But I actually ended up starting a YouTube channel that was talking about like Web3 gaming, and that was what ended up starting to found like the Wolves DAO as we kind of know it now. And Chris, probably the same type of project for 3.5 years ago for Decentral Games. It's the same project, but group, or at least the community. So it's definitely really awesome. And so from there, we have been doing Wolves DAO in the community. It's a gated community, 300 members, really just kind of going over a whole bunch of things that's been happening in Web3 gaming for the last like 4 years. And so we just have been kind of around and just being able to monitor. We've also been working for a lot of game studios that Slayer represented. I worked for Azra, Jam's Ascension, as well as Shrapnel for a little bit, and then also worked at Magic Eden for a little bit. I've also done like a lot of advising consulting similar to Slayer. So just wore a lot of hats when it comes down to it. Been a community manager. It's what I love the most. That's what I've been doing for the last 4 years with Wolves. But I've also done like a lot of marketing and directing and all that kind of stuff there too. So a lot of fun. I'm excited to dive into the topics today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. I couldn't agree more. And this, I have got to cut back to Mado's wolf here before we get to our prizes.
Yeah, that's an amazing wolf.
Yeah, that's goals. I have a magic carpet in the game, but I need to upgrade to a wolf. Clearly.
Yeah, 100%. I'm obviously lacking.
We love it.
Nightbot, if you're hearing me, give it to me.
It's a way that Nightbot can apologize, okay, for kicking you out early on. It's not cool. Now we do, before we get into our discussion, I feel we should do one of our 3 giveaways here. Keep us on track.
Yes.
If you are on Twitch, you can join our giveaway by doing !mana. Only on Twitch, but you're welcome to join us there.
Hit it.
I'll give
If
you
you're
guys
somewhere else, come to Twitch.
Yeah,
Come get it.
that's how we're gonna get everyone over to Twitch now.
Yeah.
Do you both want to do our countdown? We'll do a 5-second countdown to let people join if you're...
Dude, heck yeah.
Do it.
All right.
How hard do you want me to go with this?
All caps, Payton.
All caps.
As hard. Pretty hard. Wolf hard.
All right. Wait. One second. Let's see if this thing goes
You gotta put that announcer voice / toxic energy when you're losing in Marvel Rivals.
Oh yeah. Well, no one wants to hear that. Ready? Are we good?
So ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
Okay, you're the coolest. That was...
soundboard came through.
That really
That
worked.
did come through. Yeah.
Okay, well, blown away, Payton. Thank you. Our winner is BHR Moraes. BHR Moraes, please
Let's
message
go.
us.
Congrats.
Huge congrats. Just let us know your wallet address or email attached to your forgotten Runiverse account, and we will send you 3,000 mana. Congrats. Alrighty, let's get to it. BH Moraes saying thank you in chat. Glad you're here. Thanks for watching and congrats again. It is now discussion time, folks. I don't have a cool voice changer like Payton, but I do
Don't worry,
want
I got you covered.
I do have some questions to get into the minds of these Web3 pros. So to kick us off, is there a feature that you've always wanted to see in video games in general, like Web3 or not, but you haven't seen yet?
I'll start. I think when it comes down to Web3 specifically, I think soulbound achievements and soulbound like specific items is something that I really want to see as a gamer. You know, the chase items are always soulbound, at least from like a traditional gamer's perspective of things that aren't really obtainable unless like you put the effort in. It's kind of like you can do the pay to win, but also from like a gamer's perspective, I see PD6 in the specific chat, and he's definitely a true gamer. And usually you go through like achievements, you go through a whole bunch of things for like World of Warcraft. Everyone's chasing that soulbound item that is limited as well too. So I think there's a lot of exploration when it comes down to like the non-financialized side of Web3. I think we've kind of not evaporated, because I still think that there's a lot of like things when it comes to financialization within Web3 that is very useful, because we just kind of come from like the Bitcoin type of like specific culture of that. But I do think that from a gaming culture perspective, we haven't really explored identity a lot. And like for me, that's what I'm really excited about, because NFTs, we had the NFT craze, and that was all about identity as well and community. And I think what gamers do really well is actually community. But you kind of want to be able to congregate people that achieve soulbound items or any of that specific stuff. It's kind of an elite class of people. If you think about it, if you're playing Forgotten Runiverse and you get a chase item and there's only 5 in the world and it's soulbound to your character, you can set up 5 of those 5 people could be in a Discord gated behind Collabland and have a small internal community. And I think that's really cool. I think it's really exploring a lot of opportunities and explorers. Like you could gate a Discord community around an achievement that once you get to this certain achievement, soulbound achievement, then you get to enter into this community, and then communities can start forming around that. So I think that's like something that is really not explored, that I think gamers would resonate to from like the Web2 perspective. But yeah, that's what I would love, to be honest, implemented into more games.
I think that's really cool actually that you brought that up, because I actually agree. I think soulbound items is something that I like some more to experiment with too. We kind of touched on that a little bit in Forgotten Runiverse through our betas. We had these kind of collectible cards that you can get from quests, and they are not tradable. They're just any live in your wallet. We haven't done anything with them
We
yet.
still have a couple of those.
Yeah. So like I definitely agree with your sets, and I think if we can do something with these in the future, or maybe even something along those lines, I agree. Achievements are a huge thing that I think people like really gravitate towards. So
well, the great thing about that, Magus, is that you know, you guys don't even have to do anything as Forgotten Runiverse. Like you can have these pockets of people that like do stuff with those soulbounds. The beautiful thing about decentralization, at least from an identity layer, is that people that have the same type of aspirations, such as, you know, those beta cards, that connects them in some degree, right? They've had the whole same experiences, and then they can get into a Discord or a specific gated website that you guys put on, and then be able to share each other's like experiences with each other. And that's what a lot of gaming is. It's a lot of experiences digitally, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal of decentralized gaming. We all just get to build together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I knew Payton. I knew that was going to be your answer.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go first, Slayer. I didn't want you to take it, Slayer.
Soulbound has been people's obsession. I think, like, I agree. It's an area that's not explored, and like our space, because Axie set the tone, right? Like Axie Infinity set the tone. It made huge waves. It got attention on the space, and for a period, it was quite successful. Then you saw the economy drop, but they've still been around and they're alive. So that is first mover bias in a way. That kind of became the playbook that many people tried to emulate, or if not exactly emulate, tweak a little bit, but still using that base. And so the focus there was very transactional. I think for me, what it comes down to when I'm thinking about how Web3 makes sense in gaming are, what are the behaviors you already see Web2 gamers doing organically, even if it's illegal? And then how can Web3 take some of those things and just free people and empower them to do it in a way that is okay for the game, right? It's not hurting the game, and it empowers the players. And so on the financial side, yeah, you have the marketplaces, right? I like to joke, but it's serious. I played MapleStory when I was like 10 or 12 years old, and I got an item and I sold it for money. So like I became a Chinese gold farmer. In preteens. Story. You play to earn before play to earn, right? But people were doing account sharing. There's gold farming. People are selling items even if it's not legal. They're figuring out ways. So that shows you that on the trading side, there's that latent demand. The other thing, to what Payton said, that gamers have always cared about is achievements and flexing, right? Why do you bother after you finish the game adding 100 more hours into it to get the platinum trophy? Because you want that as a flex and status symbol. And to take it one step further with the soulbound, that is Web3 adds a superpower to that where it carries over with you regardless of platform, right? If you're not on Xbox and you're not logged into your Xbox profile, nobody knows what you have there.
Right.
And it's not really set up in a way that makes it easy for other games to be able to tap into that. They can't really see that in that way. What's cool about Web3 is you empower other projects and also the community themselves to organize around. So if we go to one of the examples, I think like Soulbound plus the freedom for UGC or for anyone to come build on that because it lives on a ledger is what is a really cool unlock in more of the direction of what do regular gamers care about, right? We've hit the trading part already and the financial part, but there's also that whole status area that isn't really being served. And in one example, if you guys remember when there was an NFT that was just cards with a random collection of game sounding items on it, right? The legendary Staff of Darkness or whatever.
Yeah. Was this
People
loot?
went, yeah, loot. People went
Loot,
crazy.
yeah, you're talking about loot.
People went crazy with that and started forming communities. A bunch of different self-community made games sprung out of those. So there's a lot of power if you just give the community the ability to build things off that, right? Hey, here's the 10 people who are the first 10 in the game to reach a certain level. They're now like barons of whatever in this game. They could get together, collude, make certain things, and then other games can also come in and be like, hey, you were one of the people with this top achievement here. I want to give you something in my game as well. I think that's when it gets really powerful, when you have status that's not just there for flex, but other people can actually see that and decide to do something for you because of what you've done in another game.
Right.
Yeah, people build.
Yeah, that's
people...
awesome.
Yeah, sorry I cut you off, Mado.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, just really quick, I was gonna say that I actually resonate well, especially with like Aruna, where she said that she was trading as like when she was younger on Nicosoy for cash. That was kind of my introduction as well to this kind of like system. I was trading Pokemon for items on Maple Store. It was like there's no way for that interoperability to actually happen. It was literally just like kind of like in guilds, like you gotta trust the other person that they're not gonna like scam you, bamboozle you when you give in the Pokemon or give them the item, right? But,
And talking to
very
some like
fun.
30-year-old Russian guy hoping that like the PayPal payment actually went through.
Right.
So true, so true. So yeah, I definitely resonate with that. I think that's a great answer, man.
Me too. Okay, so that was an awesome question. Thank you both for your thoughtful answers. That was great.
Yeah.
So we're at the start of Web3 gaming. It's still struggling to get noticed by the mainstream. Have you seen any... Mado's laugh emoji going by the chat was really funny. Sorry, I got distracted. Have you seen any success stories that use community, word of mouth? You've mentioned short form video content before. Have you ever seen big breakthrough successes that got into the mainstream that way so far?
Yeah, there's actually a couple that did well, but they're actually not from gaming. So it's kind of weird. Like you actually have to be within like Web3 in a lot of perspectives of like what has also been successful and broken out of crypto into that. Like there's a poly market type of thing. But again, that's more financialized, but there's a whole bunch of tools and suites of products as well too that have gone to mainstream as well. And that's also why we care a lot about it inside of Wolf, right? But like in terms of the word of mouth or like creative community contributions or breakthrough, I think one thing was like Pudgy. Pudgy was a really big one from retail, but like the retail is like everyone kind of knows about the retail, the Pudgy's specific ones. I think they actually took a hit on it in terms of revenue. But I do think that the one thing that they did do well is like Pudgy kindness and a lot of that stuff on like TikTok that really broke out from just like the Web3 specific craze and actually made some good happen. So that was like more of a contribution from a specific community. NFTs like Luca knowing more about like how digital specific virality works. And so I think
I've
that
also
was really
seen
cool.
Haji gifts shared in my Web2 Twitch
Yeah,
Discord, right?
those
And I'm like, oh
Exactly.
my god, you guys
everywhere.
just dropped one like this week, actually.
Cool.
Exactly. And I think that's a huge like specific kind of like understanding that Web3 like just gets that I think is just a really cool breakthrough that I think people should probably study a little bit more from like Luca and how he got to Pudgy. You can kind of talk about it, maybe be critical of what he's currently doing, but at the same time, how he got to his position now, I think should be studied in a lot of capacities. And I think the other thing that I would say is like, there's a whole bunch of ones that EngageBot, like a whole bunch of like AlphaBot now, who's social, WAP, who like did like a lot of like community-based specific tooling. This is why we're so super passionate about it. A lot of these community-based toolings has really broken out to mainstream and have also like really did a great job in mainstream too. So WAP was a previously like kind of like an AlphaBot competitor, which is more of like a typical type of like, hey, whitelist specific giveaway type of thing. But it ended up being like a service in which now what they do is they're into a whole bunch of communities and now like uses a service to be able to clip like specific things. So like we would use WAP as a service for us, put it into a community, and then that they have like a whole system that is like clipping all of this, and you can put a bounty to your community using WAP of like, I don't know, $1,000. And it's $1,000 based off of like impressions or whatever. And so it's like really using community as like kind of like some incentive structure, but they also get part of the upside because they get bounties. And so there's a lot of these like cool little tooling that is being built within like the community sector, because I do think that Web3 community has really solved a lot of things that makes people really close and a lot of that stuff. And I think Luca has leveraged it. I think AlphaBot has leveraged it. I think WAP has leveraged it. I think EngageBot has leveraged it. And so that's why a lot of us, when it comes to me and Julia, how we think about like the suite of products, it is being community focused, because we think that's also in the world of AI, like that's where it's also going to be, you know, trending, is like real interaction, real people, and like gating helps that in a lot of capacities that, you know, on the other side of the specific Discord message, that it is a person, not a specific AI agent, which you don't know nowadays, you know.
Right.
Hard to
Turn back the
tell.
dead internet.
Yeah, I think you know, one of the things that we want to help support games on with Wolf is for the ones that want to reach out to Web2 audiences, the ability to break through. And communities are the key to that. I think it's really like conversations, right? So as someone who streams in Web2, I can tell you that like my personal audience, you know, if any of them are here, then I guess they know I work in this space, but they don't actually know. And I just observe from chat that they're kind of gut reaction anti Web3, and that comes from, you know, some of the people that these guys followed early on in the space were sharing things that are really negative, and it's kind of a reaction of, I don't actually know what this is, but I know my favorite influencer doesn't like it, so that's my reaction. So there's a little bit of that, but if you break down the terms that kind of trigger them right now, it's funny because I've had a few times on stream, and in Web2 I stream Genshin, right? If you guys aren't familiar, like classic JRPG Asian gacha game, right? So like big gacha component. And I've had two instances specifically where I'm like, you get it. You actually get it. You just don't know, because some of the benefits of Web3 gaming are things that you're saying you want. You just like refuse to get over the terms. So I think if you present it in the right terms, it's actually something that people want. And I have a couple of game examples too, but from my own chat in Genshin, you know, it's RNG, so sometimes you get not the character you want. So I have a couple of like rare characters and weapons, but it's not who I like to use, so they're level 1. So my chat's like, oh my god, you know, it hurts me so much seeing that level 1 like amazing character in your inventory. I wish we could trade. And I'm just like, gosh, oh my god, if only there was some technology that existed out there that would let that be possible somehow. And then the second example is with the premium currency that you normally pay for or grind very, very slowly for in the game to do the gacha pulls. I'm like a weird streamer. I have like a giant stack of them because I just never do it. And someone actually goes, oh my god, Slayer, imagine if you could sell that currency to us at the same rate the game sells it to us, you'd be rich. And I'm like, oh man, if only there was some way I could trade in games. So they actually get it. But I'll give you a couple examples. You know, Off the Grid, one of the shooter games that did a huge, more traditional Web 2 campaign where they had some of the biggest guys on Twitch, right? They had Ninja, they had Tim the Tatman, they had Shroud playing as a trio. And then you actually had some people, some of those streamers have shorts or clips from their stream where they're saying, oh, wow, it's kind of just like building a Steam marketplace, but better and easier. So I can see how that makes sense. I think that's going to be what starts to break down those walls when you have the people that these guys look up to saying things about it. And then on the other end of smaller streamers, one of the examples that I think did really has been successful in getting a lot of traction from traditional Web 2 has been another shooter, but the Bornless. They're a horror extraction shooter. And with the super light marketing budget, they just went guerrilla marketing where they just like bought a bunch of pizza, like holed up for a week and
called everyone,
all the small and medium-sized creators from Web 2 and Twitch that were kind of playing their genre, playing similar games, and they just went out traditional, like cold messaging, hanging in the streams, doing that, and doing a campaign around that, focused on the gameplay. They ended up getting in the 6-figure Steam wish list from that, and you guys know that's impressive numbers there.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Those are success stories. Thank you.
It's hard to find, but they're there.
Yeah, it's there. I think we're, the
early.
fact that there's now multiple, not just one that we can point to. We're moving in the right direction. It's going positive.
Yeah, a lot of it is like you guys said. It's early, So
I've kind of recognized the same thing, whereas like gamers that they don't realize that they want it, but they want it. Like it's also like one thing I put out also that's actually pretty funny is like if you look at like the top Steam charts for like the longest time, like I don't even know if it's still there. It may even still be there. Like that banana game is like the top game on like the Steam charts, and it's literally just like a background like clicker game.
It's an idle clicker.
Kind of is that?
Like Hamster Combat, they don't even know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny, and like literally the purpose of it is just that way you can get like the rare sticker, like and then they can trade it on Steam for like their in-game Steam, like just Steam marketplace points, right? And it's like you don't even realize that you literally just want an NFT that you can like trade with somebody to like get something else that you protect that you want. Yeah, you can always like.
It is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny just listening to them, like Slayer said, like the vocabulary is a lot of the same vocabulary that we use for definitions that they hate, or at least the terms that they hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes time.
It does.
We'll get there.
I'm gonna.
And also, there's a lot of bad actors. That also doesn't help. So.
Yeah, the elephant in the room. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
As Mado has said to me before, if all you knew of the early internet was Nigerian prince scams, no one would want to be on the internet at all. So,
true. Yeah, that's a good quote. Yeah.
I'm gonna call upon your voice again, Payton, because it was so rad. We're gonna do our next mana giveaway.
Let's go.
Oh my god. You gotta do a different voice every time.
Yes, I will.
Whoa, this is wild. Everyone, I'll give you a second to get over to Twitch. You can do !mana, and we will cut to Payton to do whatever his voice has.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, let's go for it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the winner is
That's amazing.
Desenfrenad0_. You know who you are.
Congrats. Let's go.
I am running out of voices though, so.
Well, there's only one more.
I think you only need one more.
We'll leave one more.
I got you.
So Desenfrenad0_.
Yeah.
Just let us know your email or wallet address you use in Forgotten Runiverse, and then we will hook you up with your winnings. Okay, so we've been talking more industry-wide, but obviously Mado and I are very invested in Forgotten Runiverse. We love the game we're working on. So I want to pick your brains about that in particular. Let's get back to gameplay because it's the best.
I know, it is a beautiful game.
We gotta show more of that wolf mount there.
Yeah.
More of the
it's a
wolf
beautiful game.
and a giant map. Very good. First up, you heard us at the top of the stream talking about Pixel in Forgotten Runiverse. One of our priorities on the team has been showing the interoperability of Web3, and so our partnership with Pixels has been a big part of that, and we've loved working with them. I'm just wondering if there are any other tokens or just cool interoperability ideas that you're both aware of that you'd like to see that maybe we could consider taking your advice from. Other partnerships, other ways to show the interoperability of Web3. We're all ears. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think like a lot of it comes down to the interoperability is already a lot of things there. Like you can, which is kind of sucky because there's this ownership aspect of things in some capacities, but at the same time you could also like be able to do any type of metadata as well too. Like your game in a sense can be a gate for somebody. If I have my Wolves SBT and that be an integration, and you just read that metadata that it's there, I can have like a wolf mount or something like that, and I think that's just like cool as heck. Like honestly, I think that's just like such a fun little aspect of things that like my identity digitally can transfer over to different types of things. So interoperability, likewise, like I think you guys can get creative on anything that you guys would like to be, in terms of, and you guys don't really have to ask permission. That's what's also the beautiful thing about this aspect of things. But at the other same time, like Pixels and integrations like that, I think Pixels is a fantastic partner. I think Pixels has like obviously a lot of shared specific DNA when it comes to Forgotten Runiverse, and also just like a fantastic team. Young, also willing to try a whole bunch of things to be able to do that. I think like others, like streaming platforms, like I think like Thousands and all that stuff is really cool. I think Thousands has like a stream very similar to like Twitch, but like it's integrated within the game. So like there's different types of like currency that you could drop and all that kind of stuff to directly, and a whole bunch of cool things. And you can like do rallies and like bet on specific things. It's kind of like a little bit of Polymarket, but more for gaming, and integrated with like the specific game, which Polymarket is for people in chat. Like Polymarket is mostly just like kind of like you get to bet on what kind of things is going to happen next. So you can do something within Runiverse if like this specific campaign or this specific boss is are they going to win or are they going to lose, right? And you can kind of like do that, and so that's a lot of fun. What's up, Ashley? Sorry.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
Thanks for
Ashley.
coming in.
What up, Helen?
Ashley,
Yeah, I think
taken by Nightbot.
for me, in terms of like Pixels is a great example because I've been a Pixels OG, so I'm very familiar with that game. I was with them before Ronin, actually. But one of the things that really rallied the community was exactly what Payton was talking about, right? They just integrated slowly at first, and then when it caught on, a bunch of projects just had a bunch of demands of, hey, integrate our NFT collection. Now, for them, it was a very manual process. They had to translate all those assets, and they actually got the traits. So it's like one for one your NFT into their art style, which manual. There's a huge backlog they have of communities, but there's different ways you could do that. What that did for the community, though, was it activated all these sub-communities in Pixel. So you would see like everyone who's got this, an NFT that is now their avatar in-game from a certain collection, they would tend to literally at big group events just stand in a corner organically. And then some people were like, oh, let's take a group picture of all the, people who have this NFT. And you'd see behavior like that. Even more emergent behavior came up when some of them would start getting the NFT lands. I know you guys have decoration on land as a feature as well, but you'd have communities that are super active in game get a land and then do UGC decorations or use just the tiles. You can do different color tiles to try to make the mascot of their PFP collection on that land and make it a whole land that's like themed around their crew, and they would do events and have parties on their own lands. So there's a Moku one, there's a bunch of other ones in that community. So I think unlocking the ability for sub communities in the game to find each other, and NFTs and profile picture collections are such a great way for that, because that already comes with that community element. You see someone with the same profile picture as you in the wild. Like I see a wolf soulbound PFP on the timeline, I'm giving that a follow, right? If I saw someone in game and there was something to let me know they're also a Wolves DAO member, like, yeah, I'm partying up with you. We're gonna hang. So I think that's another way. It's a really good way to build stickiness into the game.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah, that's a really cool point. Actually, I just realized that someone earlier today posted in chat that you can play as wizards in Pixels now too, which I didn't. We had the 2D sprite.
Yeah.
We had the 2D sprite. Yeah. Every wizard has their own like pre-made 2D sprite. spreadsheet that was made for them. Like even before, like a lot of game integrations, like Wizards are kind of ahead of the curve. Like even right now, every single wizard has a 3D wizard assassin. There's not really many 3D games out there, right? But like every wizard has that 3D model that's there for when interoperability for 3D games becomes more like more of a thing. There's a couple of games that they're integrated in. But yeah, it's like I definitely agree with that idea of like transferring. And that goes back to what you were saying, where transferring your identity and kind of like having an identity across games, and like feeling that gamer identity is something that's like untapped to in Web 2, right? Like you have like your personality that like you can maybe have in your Steam profile, but like, you don't really have like a character or like something that you feel like you can actually translate into like multiple games. I mean, Web3 allows for that, and that's like super awesome.
Yeah, or like at best, if you have a crew, it's like, okay, you can have your guild name, game, and that's it. But that's it's not as powerful as seeing something on your character that reflects that.
I want to acknowledge King Blast in chat here, who's asking about warriors from the Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult Collection. They're on our roadmap too. We will one day integrate warriors. We're still in our early access stage right now, but I want to reassure you. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, so talking about Web3 audiences, you both have mentioned before that there are people who are into Web3 because, they're gamers, they just want fun games. There are also people who are into Web3 because they want to earn money. And with Forgotten Runiverse, we were very game first focused, but we still want to create an environment that's welcoming to all types of Web3 gamers, no matter what their motivations are for joining us. Do you have any advice for how we can create an environment that's welcoming to those who want a fun MMORPG experience and for those who are here because they're excited about the trading on secondary markets tech?
You want to go first, Slayer, or you want me to?
Sure, I can go first. Yeah, I think the challenge but the fun of Web3 is understanding that there are far more different types of user personas that are entering into a game than you would have in Web 2. And that even within different persona categories, there's subcategories of those, right? You have people who are here to earn, but some of them are actually game first. Like I would categorize myself as like, when I'm playing a Web3 game, my brain is a little different than when I'm playing a Web 2 game, but I still will not personally touch anything that I find not fun, no matter what the potential return or financial benefit is on that. Then you have people who are, I'm just going to go filter for the highest ROI. You have on the whale scale, people who just want like passively put money in and be a patron versus people who want to throw that money in and be like a king in the game. In a Chinese term, there's like king of the server, right? And so I think the key is designing loops that give something for each persona. And sometimes the right thing to do might be to separate those loops from each other, or there's ways for them to interplay together. So one example of that is in anything that's competitive or skill-based, especially if there's PvP. I know you guys have hinted at that as well. That's something where generally like people don't like when it feels pay to win, right? People don't like the idea of ruining the fairness of the game. Like there's degrees, and depending on the genre, there's degrees to which it's accepted, but generally it's never going to feel good to the gamer when I put 1,000 hours into the game and I'm good at it, and then someone who it's their first day just blew $5,000 into it, and because their gear is so good, I still can't scratch their HP bar. That just doesn't feel good as an experience. So the answer for that might be, for things that gamers care about, like the skill, keep that pure, right? Just based on skill, there's something you can benefit from by being high skilled. Maybe you get some rewards there. And then in terms of a way to satisfy that more speculative type of risk taker, there's been ideas in past games of maybe we put a betting loop on top of that, right? So the speculation is about the outcome of a skill-based competition, but it's not actually influencing the skill-based element of that. Another example that I really liked a lot was Cambria, which is, they were on dual on Abstract and Ronin, but that was a more risk-focused MMORPG than I think a lot of the other ones including Runiverse, on the market right now. And because their first game they came out with before the MMORPG they made was, a more pure degen game. It was
Rock, paper,
1v1,
scissors.
rock, paper,
Yeah.
scissors battle, and you bet ETH on it. It was interesting for me seeing what kind of economy design came out of a more degen native team. And one of the things I think they did well was create some loops for multiple personas. So as an example, for the whale persona, they had something for the person who just wants to bet on the game success without playing, which is you could buy these NFTs, stake them so you don't have to play the game, and you just get a percent of certain activities in game, and the fact that players have to buy in to be part of the prize pool, and you get a certain cut of that. Then they had another whale persona for more like traditional like Axie guild manager types, where you could buy the NFT that people need in order to play the game and sponsor someone who didn't want to pay. So it's like, I'll cover your entry fee, but therefore we're splitting your earnings, 50-50, 70-30, whatever split you want to take. And they actually set up the game so those two groups were kind of affecting each other. The stronger one group got, the less earnings another group got. So you had whales fighting over a pot and picking their are you passive or active playstyle. Then you had multiple roles for different types of gamers. A person who just wanted to skill up and be like an axe cutter or a crafter could make money that way. Someone who wanted to be an aggressive PvPer could do it that way. But I think it was a good example of trying to build something for every persona in a way where they all had their own playground to play in.
Right. I think it comes down to that. Those are like really complex, and like you have to really deeply think about each specific cohort, right, of people that are coming in. And I think when it comes down to what we've kind of seen primarily is like two sides of the barbell right now. A lot of the Web 2.5 games, ones that like haven't picked a side in terms of what they're doing, hasn't really performed well, at least what we haven't seen. And so usually you're like probably Web 2.0001, like a Bornless, where like no one really knows about what they're doing Web 3, even if they are going to be Web 3. But like you pretty much abstract every single thing away. Like you guys don't have to have a wallet to be able to play or any of that stuff. Same thing for off the grid. There's like a wallet's being made on the back end for arena streaming, for example. They make sure that whenever you sign up that there is specific stuff. So from a tech perspective, we've gotten to a point now, we weren't there 2.5 years ago, even probably a year ago, that it could be abstracted away this much that it actually just seems like a normal game that you could play. So that's like a really big one. I think that's going to be a really where you're winning is like kind of in the quality of life type of things. Like off the grid gets you to be able to have like a real money like marketplace in terms of that ability, and being able to have that for MMORPGs is huge, right? And then on the other side of the spectrum is like very much degenerate gambling. I'm like making a piece right now in terms of writing it, is that like crypto Twitter is the MMORPG, and they use like the specific games or projects or hype or any of that specific things that are coming out as kind of like their cards or the NPCs that they're playing inside of their world to be able to make money. And so like they don't really like treat like your specific game as like as sacred as you probably want them to be. And I think that's what I've felt with a lot of like builders, that they feel like a little slighted by them. They call them like locusts, they call them like degens, they call them like anything that's like really kind of derogatory on this side of things. But like I think it shows one thing. It shows that builder probably doesn't know too much about like the space that they're building in, which is if you go into, and this is why I love that we're on Twitch, but if you go onto crypto Twitter and you play in that MMORPG that is crypto Twitter or crypto X, whatever you want to call it nowadays, you are going to pretty much be used as a tool for financialization to some capacity. And that might be either causing hype to a certain degree and for attention, and to be able to monetize off that attention, even for a short amount of time. But they'll probably move on to the next specific NPC, which is another project or any of that specific stuff. But at the same time, those people are very useful because they're just speculative gamblers. So from a cost perspective of like what a gamer is, we had a funny conversation within Wolves that a gamer will just literally talk about how terrible your game is on every single aspect of things and not spend any money and be like, Forgotten Runiverse is like the worst game ever created because of XYZ, and like, I wouldn't trust them with like my grandma or something. I don't know. I'm terrible at that specific stuff.
Oh,
but in terms of like Yeah,
Peyton just needs to lose a couple Marvel Rivals
yeah,
and he'll be in that mode. Don't worry.
exactly. And so, but from a gambler perspective, those degens, they kind of just chalk it up like, oh well, it's kind of like the game that I'm playing, right? And so that is like the thing is like it was their kind of choice to be able to kind of get in. And so that's kind of like a little bit different in terms of the mentality of how people do it. And it's intrinsic versus extrinsic too, which that's going to be something that like a lot of game designers are going to have to learn how to do. And that's usually the meta game, right? So like a lot of people use like TCGs, and TCGs is a really good example. But Project O, for example, which is a game that's coming out here soon and probably the fall in open beta, where they're trying to compete with like Marvel Snap and all that kind of stuff. They have a meta game around the NFTs, very similar to Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, where there is a collector specific meta that's around it, but doesn't really touch like the mechanics of the game. And there's a lot of those aspects as well too. MMORPGs have like probably a really big luxury and a one up on all those specific type of games because you guys have so many mechanisms and levers to be able to pull. But like for TCGs or any of those other games, it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
I think that's so interesting what you pointed out about basically just be honest about who you're talking to. Like, not everyone's going to react the same way. Know your audiences. It's not a single audience. And engage with them honestly. I think that's wise. That's wise advice. So you pointed out, and it's a very important part of our game, that we don't need a wallet to play it. And that's something that we wanted to do as an onboarding option. People don't have to treat this as a Web3 game with all the scary words we were talking about earlier. They can go through the whole quest line and enjoy it without ever touching that.
Yeah.
Because really we're trying to fulfill that ethos. We were all talking about Slayer getting into it at 12 years old, secondary markets, gray markets trading that already happens, we want to solve for. And well, I guess I'm wondering, do you think that's a good onboarding strategy for Web 2 gamers? And have you seen other games experimenting with other strategies for onboarding Web 2 people into the space?
Yeah, I think it's what you need for Web 2. I mean, like Web 2 products, Web 2 product ethos is like every additional step you add to the onboarding process increases your turnover percent and your churn, right? So like if your onboarding step is 3 steps and you add one more, that every step is another point at which some people will just be lazy and log off. And for the average gamer, you know, like if they're waiting in a queue for like even 20 seconds, they're like, all right, forget this, you've lost my attention. If you make them do too much stuff, assuming that churn is high. So for a lot of the super complex Web3 onboarding, I'm a native in this space and I get annoyed, right? It's like, okay,
I also get confused.
I'm trying to play also, like, even for Web3 gamers, you're playing a game, and that for me, I'm trying to be immersed in the game. So I don't want to be playing this game and I'm like, just finished this huge boss battle, I want to bask in it, and then my wallet popped up like, hey, click confirm 3 times and then go get gas, go on this website to get gas in this thing that you don't have any of. You need like 1 cent of it, but you can only buy it in 5-cent quantities, and then bridge it over into our game specific chain. And I'm like now 5 screens in and 10 tabs open, and I'm like, all right, I forgot what I just did in the game, and I guess great, I killed the boss, I forgot, I'm not even excited anymore. So I think just like good practice, like the more you can abstract it, the more you keep them in the game. I think one trend you're seeing now with a lot of games is actually moving the in-game marketplace to be more directly integrated with the game. You know, in the early batch, you probably had a lot where it was like, all right, if you want to trade the in-game items, go to OpenSea, go to OpenLoot, go to all these third-party platforms, but you have to leave your game screen and go to a website. You're seeing a lot of them now, like Gigaverse. And MapleStory, where it's like trying to integrate it directly more into your game interface, so you can do all the trading from the game. Like the last thing you want to do is people are enjoying playing the game and you're going to be like, hey, that's great, I'm going to kick you out, go to another website, and I hope you come back when you're done.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Slayer is saying. I'm not going to add too much from it, so.
Are you going to add anything, or just not too much? Or...
Oh, I can. I think Slayer is great, and she was right. And if I talk, it's not going to be as good. So I'll add that.
Yeah, that resonated.
Yeah, I think one thing that's cool is if you saw the news lately, Privy has been like they got
Yeah, that's a
bought out by
huge
Stripe.
win.
Yeah.
Huge win.
Yeah, huge win. And I think like that kind of represents like what you're saying, like, you know, I see like we're still, but honestly, it's like we're early, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like the scaffolding is like still there. I mean, it's still being
Right.
built. So it's like
Yeah.
part of that is what I see, like when you see like Privy getting like snatched up by a big company like Stripe, that to me signals that like there's more big players that are interested in like making that onboarding experience
Yeah.
less painful, where it's like it's
Yeah.
all done for you. You don't have to worry about it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, and
even
even, like, a lot of
stuff
the
now.
smart-
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Julia.
There's even stuff now where like with certain companies you can now let people purchase crypto by using their credit card, right? And then they
Mhm.
handle all those transactions and bridging and everything from their end.
That's what I
But
was
that's
gonna say.
another way that makes it easier for Web 2.
Yeah, exactly. And Privy kind of made my specific mind go to that as well too. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's really interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, so the last big, I mean, you already touched on this too, which, yes, you're
Let's
very
hit it, though.
observant. PvP, we've been hinting at it. It's a priority for us. I'm wondering, when it comes to PvP systems in Web3 games, how do you feel about waging and betting? Do you prefer systems that allow that in, I guess, any game, really, or ones that don't?
I love it personally. I'm a very competitive person. I got an intervention on Tuesday night about being too petty and too tantrum heavy whenever I don't win 3 games or whenever I lose 3 games in a row, especially Marvel Rivals. But it's okay. Even
Me
that
too.
intervention, I try to, yeah, exactly. But I honestly, I do. Like me and Slayer kind of talked a little bit about this, but me and Icy played Cambria, that first one that you put some ETH onto and stuff like that. And I think that smart contracts like really enable that for like speed of processing and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's just something that's not really out. That's kind of a quality of life thing as like a gamer, is like, I want to put something on the line for this, and all I need is like an API call to a smart contract that says that I won and like I get my specific earnings. And I think like Sinjin, who's like, you know, one of the Wolves that I just laugh because he's also just vulgar in a lot of ways, but a very smart individual if you look past all of it. And he talks a lot about that, where like wagering, though, it's very difficult to like wager if like it's such a Twitch reflexes type of stuff. And so like having things that is available for people that are a little bit more casual, like your guys' is like game system is a lot more like approachable from a PvP system than it is like off the grid, right? So it gives you a lot more like availability of like player liquidity that wants to be able to even do that. And so like I think I like it a lot. So, but I'm just more competitive as well.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us in this space that like with Wolves, I'd say like there's different communities in gaming, and some are more focused on like trading finance, some are a mix. Like we have a good mix of gamers, and so a lot of us have that competitive blood. But PvP goes back to, you know, for me, building something for each persona, and there is a persona out there that is, you know, that like Bartle's taxonomy of gamers, the killer persona, which is like the PvP master. That's another aspect of status for people. And the good thing when it's implemented in a game, from the game perspective, is it could be, depending on what the stakes of PvP are. If it's a PvP that's a high stakes, like you're losing some items or items break, it's a great driver of demand for more of the in-game currency and gear, because like people who are losing in PvP or winning but getting their gear damage now need to go repair that gear. That has really good downstream effects also for the casual farmer, because they're like, I'm scared, I have no interest in PvP, but I can now just be a supplier of materials needed to repair gear and know that those PvP guys might pay me for that because they're always going to be breaking their gear. So I think it
What,
introduces
Chinese gold farmer, you?
Yeah, I think it introduces interesting mechanics like that. And then the other element is for, you know, nowadays, even in Web 2, in both sides of the space right now, we're getting into an era where people realize that there's fun to play, and then there's the other grail of, is it fun to watch? And if it's both, that really fun to watch means that unlocks, you know, the ability for viral exposure and distribution via streaming and video, right? And PvP is something that can often get people more excited. With like people want to see if people love seeing good competitive gamers play things like Fortnite or whatever, because it's just satisfying to watch your streamer get a billion headshots in a row. Or in Cambria, Logic actually started doing a lot more content. He's one of the Wolves who's super PvP and competitive focused. And I think he was in the Runiverse community as well. He started doing a lot of clips of just him solo chasing down 5 guys and killing them all. So it's something that also makes for good content. So that's an angle of a pro for it as well.
Awesome. I appreciate your insights. These have been wonderful. Mado, is there any final rolling you'd like to do before we do our last mana giveaway? Or I see you've changed your outfit
You
as
know
well.
what? Maybe I will. Yeah, I did. I just felt like changing up my appearance a little bit. But yeah, I'm actually gonna do some more rolling. I did a couple of rolls on stream. I got I got Pixel Cow, another one. She was probably getting really jelly seeing that I got another one, but I'll do like I'll do like 10 rolls, I think, in real moment. You can go ahead and do a mana giveaway while I do my 10 rolls.
All right.
Payton, get your last voice ready.
All right.
Yeah, I look forward
It's a
to
weird
seeing
one.
what it'll be. So if you're in Twitch chat, you can do !mana, and we're gonna get our final Payton
Do
voice. Okay.
Let me know when.
Okay, and let's do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wow, that was amazing.
Nice.
Love that voice.
Yeah.
The winner is
Save the epic one for last.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Moogle, Moogle, with underscores in between. Moogle, please message us here on the Forgotten Runiverse channel. Let us know either your wallet address or your email address connected to your account, and we're going to send you your winnings. Okay. Mado's going to do final rolls, and then we'll get ready to sign off. I hope you win a whole plot of land.
Alright, wish me luck. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna do another 50. I'll do another 50. I'll go hard. Let's see what we got.
We got a gambler here.
Gamers and
So true.
gamblers. All types of people.
Oh my god, I did get that! I swear
Wait.
this is not rigged. This is not rigged. I gotta
Yeah,
homestead.
someone's in the back end in God mode over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Mado, what the heck?
So true. I got a homestead and I got Pixel Rogues. I got Pixel Rogue and I got a Greek Pixel Rogue. I think that's the animated one. Hold on, let me check if that's the animated one really quick.
Is that modeled after their GDC robe? Because I
Yes.
have one in real life.
Yeah,
It's the softest
it is.
robe I've worn in my entire life.
That's awesome.
Actually, I
Oh my
swear,
God.
Irving, it's not
He goes
scripted.
does the
I
same
swear.
thing.
That's crazy.
Okay, let me see. Hold on.
I cannot believe you got land. You leave Mado to play the game for an hour unsupervised, and suddenly
On the final pull to end the stream. That's a little too
So
convenient.
true.
huh?
it's insanity. Well,
Exactly.
all right. So we've done our 3 giveaways. Mado has won some land. I think all that's left is for us to get ready to say goodbye to Payton and Slayer. So where can people follow Wolves DAO before you go? If they want more Wolves DAO, if they want more from each of you, where should they look?
Yeah, on X it's Wolves DAO, so just like as it is, and then also Wolf Lab, but it's WOOF_LAB. I'll put it in chat. But you also follow Slayer as well on Twitter.
Awesome. What's your handle, Slayer, on Twitter X?
Slayer XGG. I'll drop that in chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for lending us your minds, your advice, your insights. This has been really a fun discussion. I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having us. It's fun.
No problem.
Anytime.
No
Had fun.
problem.
All right. See you later, guys. Thanks again.
Bye, guys.
Hey, it's Helen.
Bye. And it's Mado.
We just finished recording our segment of the Runiverse Direct.
We had so much that we packed into it. We were talking about the updates. We were talking about the and
I kind of feel like we're just going to have to bleep out everything Mado just said, so I don't know how useful this is going to be on socials.
It's okay. They'll figure it out when they watch it.
Yeah. See you there, everybody. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, they're coming.
Here we go. They're coming by.
This Runiverse Direct is fire!